Spanning the planet. You've landed at the pet entertainment center of the universe. Alert the paparazzi. This is Pet Life Radio, the ultimate animal adventure.
And welcome and good morning or good afternoon to all. You are here live with Dr. Jeff Werber, your host for the next 30 minutes here on Pet Life Radio's live call-in show, Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. And happy to be here with you and want to hear from you. A number of ways you can do that. You can either go online, Pet Life Radio, click on the Ask the Vets tab with Dr. Jeff, and we will actually give you a link. You can follow the link to join us right here on our Google Hangout. We could see you live. You can see us live, and it would be very actually a nice thing to do. You can also call us toll free 877-385-8882. Once again, 877-385-8882, and just we will happily talk to you anything about your pets. And also you can join in the conversation. If you go again online to Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff here on Pet Life Radio, there's a box and you can just start typing away and we can get you that way. And lastly, send us an email. Send me an email to drjeff, that's Dr. Jeff, at petliferadio.com. And we'd love to hear from you. So I wanted to, tonight, as many of you might know, and it's the first night of Hanukkah, and I always get nervous around holiday time. We talked about Halloween. We talked about Thanksgiving. We're going to talk about a little bit of Hanukkah things today, and then we're going to talk about Christmas coming up around the corner. And, the keys is that I inevitably get calls from my clients. There's always some problem. Something happened. Something that dog got into something somewhere along the line. I mean, it's inevitable. It happens all the time. So, what I want to make sure is that we all are aware of some of the dangers. Let's talk about the basics. And I actually did a story on this. It was an Inside Edition where, and how they came to me, and we talked about this, was there was a story that a cat basically set a house on fire. How? Because they had a lighted candle. And these can be very dangerous. I mean, ornamentally, they're great, but cats are very inquisitive. Cats like to explore. Cats are cats. And as we all know, if you have cats, I'm sure many of you do, hopefully more than many of you do, like most, they love to rub up on things. They mark their objects. And so anything new that they see, they want to brush up against it. They want to rub their glands in their cheeks up to it and mark it. And I think it also feels good. I mean, if you start, ever pet a cat right there under the chin, on the sides of the face, they love it. So we actually did this. We had an opportunity to set up a situation. I had a candle on a coffee table, and sure enough, put one of my cats on the coffee table, and literally right away tried to rub against it, and darn near knocked it over. I mean, obviously it was a very controlled environment. We were trying to prove a point that it does happen, and it does happen. So, for a number of reasons, not just your pets, but for a number of reasons, when you light your candles for the next 8 nights, as Adam Sandler put it, the 8 crazy nights, make sure that the candles are being watched. And if you have pets, do not leave them alone for even a moment near a lighted candles, because it can be very, very dangerous. Next up, it's present time. And, this is going to be very similar, almost exactly the same as what happens during Christmas. Getting down in the morning under the tree, you got all the gifts, all the presents, and it's no different. Wrapping paper, ribbon, yarn, all these things that we use to wrap paper can be potentially very dangerous for pets. And as a matter of fact, it's not just hearsay. It's not a wives' tale that cats like to play with yarn. They do, and they swallow, and they will swallow big hunks of it, and that can cause what we call an intestinal foreign body, a string foreign body. In essence, what it does is it has a straight string that is trying to course through the winding, convoluted, several feet of intestine. And what happens is if the knot or one end gets stuck or lodged at one point, as the intestines are trying to pull this string through, it sort of creates a piano wire effect. And it starts sawing into the edges, the mesenteric border, we say, of the intestine, and can cause severe damage. And even if not caught early, surgically removed, you have leakage of intestinal content into the abdomen, causing severe peritonitis. And ultimately, if not checked, we have seen animals die from string foreign bodies. So very, very important to keep an eye on all the wrapping when you're cleaning up in the evening. It's very important to make sure everything is thrown away properly. And next up, of course, what would any holiday be without food? So, and the foods that typically are eaten on this holiday are sadly a little bit on the fatty side. There's the potato pancake, which is full of oil. It's grilled in oil. And you have the donuts, certainly not great for your dogs and cats. Remember, high fat content in pets creates something called pancreatitis. Pancreatitis is very, very serious. Their bodies weren't built to handle that huge amount of fats all at once. So whether it's, as we discussed around Thanksgiving, whether it's dark meat turkey, whether it's skin, anything that is too fatty can pose a big threat to our pets. So again, be very careful. You don't want to shoo your pets away. Give them something that they can eat. Let them be part of the festivities. It's fun. You're sitting around. There's a lot of family, all these really, really, really good things. But it's very important to exercise caution. And the best thing, I always say this in general when it comes to pets, is anticipate. It's sort of like training that little puppy. And I tell people all the time, I say, when you have that puppy, before you leave that puppy alone in a room or in a space, a confined space, turn around and take a look and ask yourself, is there anything remotely possible, even remotely possible, that this little puppy can get a hold of? Because trust me, if it can, it will. And I also tell owners, especially the women, the moms, that be very, very careful about leaving things around like shoes. Because if this puppy had a choice between your little rubber flaps that you kind of wear around the house and your Louboutins, trust me, the puppy's going after the good stuff. So it's the same thing. It's like Murphy's Law. They will try, they often succeed, and it's very, very important to anticipate the problems before they become problems. And that's sort of the same thing with all the holidays. So it's the candles, it's the presents and the wrapping and the ribbons and the yarn, and of course, as with every holiday, it's the food. And as this with any other holiday, there's always going to be chocolate. You got the little chocolate coins, you got the things you play with, they're full of chocolate. So once again, and don't think when you have those little foil coins that are basically chocolate, that your dog is going to carefully remove the foil. It's not going to happen. They're eating that whole thing, and they're eating it quickly. And so again, just have fun, include your pets, but exercise a really fair amount of caution when you include them in the festivities, which of course we here at Pet Life Radio want you to do. So, one of the things that I often like to do, until I hear from somebody with a question, a comment, experience from past holidays would be great. If you had anything you want to share with our listeners. And remember, you can go online right now to Pet Life Radio. Click on the Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff tab, and there's going to be a link to a Google Hangout. We'd love to have you kind of come in and join us here on the link, and just to see, just talk. Let's talk about your pets. Let's talk about anything. Let's talk about issues you may have had in the past and what you might anticipate for the future. And if I can do anything, saving one life, helping one person with a problem, kind of makes my day. So let's get that opportunity going and join us here live on Pet Life Radio. So it was interesting. I subscribe to a lot of the news, the pet news publications online, and there are a number of them. And I found something very interesting. There was a study, and this was printed, in depth in Science magazine. And basically, the study was on aging. And we've learned a lot lately about aging. I know we've talked about the large breeds, and these are the breeds that have a tendency, or can and do and have developed bone cancer. And now a link has been determined between bone cancer in dogs, large breeds, and early spay-neuter. And it is now believed that there, believe it or not, is a protective benefit of the sex hormones that can help prevent the incidence of bone cancer, the occurrence of bone cancer later in life. And bone cancer usually hits an older dog. The dogs are going to be 7, 8, 9, 10. So what you do with your young dog might have a major effect on your older dog when they age. And there was statistically a 65% greater incidence in long bone cancer in the male that was pre-pubertally neutered, and a 35% greater incidence in the female that was pre-pubertally spayed. So many of us, myself included, regardless of what a city ordinance might say, I fight them all the time. And that is, I refuse, if given an option, of course, to not spay or neuter dogs until they have sexually matured, usually around a year of age. With females, I do believe it's very important to spay them before their second heat. So we used to, as with the small breeds, which we still do, it was okay to spay them before their first heat even. Like as soon as their adult teeth came in, maybe 6.5 months. First heat's usually at 7 months. So I'd like to spay them before the first heat. Now I'm pushing our large breeds, and we're doing it after the first heat, closer to a year of age, 11, 12 months of age. But remember, their second heat's hitting around 14 months of age. So we want to do it before then. Males, the only reason to really neuter males early anyway is behavioral. The other benefits that we see are going to kick in anytime. So, it used to be thought that neutering will help prevent prostate cancer, and that theory has been shut down. It does help prevent benign prostatic hyperplasia, we call BPH, but that doesn't happen anyway until they're older. So you have a little more leeway for the male. Admittedly, though, male dogs can be a bit of a nuisance when it comes to going through puppy phases, puppy stages. Why? Because they want to run and they want to mark and they want to, they're just being boys. Boys will be boys. So I still think that neutering is the best way to go, certainly for population control. I am a huge advocate. However, with this new study, I am now waiting until they're closer to a year of age because I want to do everything I can to help prevent bone cancer in our large breed dogs. Anyway, we're at that point in our show at the halfway mark. So we are going to take a break for a second and make sure to come back. Get a little gutsy, come online and click on that link. And maybe in the second half of the show, we can have you live online. You can get to see you. We'll see you. You can see me on the radio with Ask Any Questions You Have. And we're going to come back and talk a little bit about aging and animals. Don't go away.
We'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned.
We
mature, handsome types need a little special attention.
Does your dog suffer from joint and arthritis pain? Deteriorating muscle and joint problems are very common in aging dogs. It's easy to alleviate your dog's discomfort at home with Prosense. Prosense joint care products can help make your dog's life as pain-free as possible, providing effective relief for flare-ups, and also lubricate and strengthen damaged cartilage. Prosense products are veterinary formulated and recommended to ensure the very best for your pet. Try Prosense today. Your dog will thank you for it. Pets love life. Love them back with Prosense.
At Red Barn, our pet food ingredients work overtime. They aren't just there for show. Dandelion greens work to maintain a healthy digestive system. Salmon oil works to enhance the immune system. Green-lipped mussels work to support joint health. These hard-working ingredients support your dog's active, healthy life. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Naturals Pet Food. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Try our grain-free stews, the only pet food with Red Barn bully sticks.
It's designerpetsweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit designerpetsweaters.com to order your four-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. designerpetsweaters.com.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio Talk and iTunes. Let's Talk Pets. Live and on demand only from Pet Life Radio.
Let's Talk Pets.
Let's Talk Pets.
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And welcome back. You're here live with Dr. Jeff Werber. Here, your host on Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff here on Pet Life Radio. And before the break, we were talking about aging. We talked a bit about some new information that we have on large breed dogs and spay neuter. So we know that there are differences, I should say, in when it comes to our large breed, small breed dogs versus cats. And what's interesting is, so a study's been going on. This was a really cool article in Science Magazine. But noted, first of all, the general hypothesis, if you look at a global picture of animals, it seems like generally the larger the animals, your elephants, for example, your big cats, will live longer than your very small animals. And that happens with our four-legged creatures most of the time. There are exceptions, which we're going to talk about. But of course, as any of you that have owned a parrot or a macaw, right, know that these large citizen parrot birds, they can live 60, 70, 80 years. I always joke that if you're going to be, if you're a middle-aged adult and you're going to buy yourself a parrot, you better be prepared to keep that bird in your will and make sure somebody's going to take care of it when you're gone, because that bird is most likely going to outlive you. The questions, came up is, okay, if that's the case, then why do cats outlive dogs generally? And why small dogs live longer than big dogs? So, one of the theories were that animals that are very good at avoiding predators seem to evolve into longer lives. Now, obviously, when it comes to our domesticated species, there have not been around like dogs and cats long enough to see or benefit from these evolutionary pressures. So that probably isn't going to stand up, those theories. Now, interestingly, that they do say, however, that when you think of dogs and cats in the wild, first of all, cats, as any of you know, and we can have a discussion about who's smarter, who is going to survive longer if left to their own devices. Certainly, I personally think cats can outdo a dog. I mean, cats somehow manage to fend for themselves. They manage to find food for themselves. And that the key is that cats are typically less social. They do kind of hang on their own. So in the wild, where you have dogs like the wolves that are more social, they can pass on disease to each other. They are, because they do travel in groups, sometimes they are easier for a predator to attack. So these are things that probably can affect the dog population, the wolf population. Whereas the feral cats, they kind of do their own thing. They don't usually pass disease onto each other with the same prevalence that the more social canine species would. Now, there are some, the belief is that one of the reasons why the animals have done so well lately, our domesticated species, is that they could be due to hormones. Growth factor 1, for example. This is what seems to help our large and giant breeds grow to that status of large and giant breeds. And also diet and care. I mean, they say that in the last 3 or 4 decades, I'm going to see if I can find this for you, but in the last 3 or 4 decades, they say that life expectancy of the dog has doubled in the last 4 decades. House cats are living twice as long now as their feral counterparts. And they obviously, the conclusion was this could be chalked up to better health care and better diet. We spend a fortune of money every year on these things. And, this is probably what is also contributing to the success, the overall success of our dogs and cats living longer. We know that you take like an Irish Wolfhound, 150 pounders, they're lucky to make it to 7, whereas these little breeds, the Papillons, the Poodles, the Yorkies, they can live 12, 13, 14, 15, etc. Now, what's also interesting is I learned something. There was a couple of animals. First of all, in the wild, talk about the large versus small. When you think of some of these, little mice, for example, are going to get eaten up pretty quickly. And even if not, they live a couple of years. Bats, I did not know this. Bats can live 30 to 40 years. There's a little rat called a naked mole rat. And what they do is they burrow and they live in holes. They too can make it to 30 or 40 years. So the theory there is that they are living as long as they are because of their ability to avoid predators. As we know, bats during the day are in caves. They are nocturnal, and they don't have to really worry much about a predator. And at night, they are able to fly pretty quickly. So they have survived and managed to breed, and longer ones are breeding longer. And that's amazing to be able to go 35 to 40 years. And but this was really cool. The longest lived dog was a dog named Bluey, an Australian cattle dog, or a Queensland Blue Heeler, that lived to 29. That's the oldest one I've heard. And there was a cat in Texas named Cream Puff, the oldest cat on record, that lived to 38. Now, in 2014, the oldest cat that made it was a cat named Poppy, the world's oldest cat in 2014, and that cat lived to age 24. Now, I had 2 patients of mine that made it to 22, 2 cats. Sadly, the oldest cat I've ever had was my Andy, my ragdoll, who made it to 18 and a half, which, hey, I'm not complaining. That's a pretty good age. So, but I think I found it fascinating, actually, that animals are living this long, but even more so that when you look at our dogs and cats, it's sort of opposite of what's out there in the wild. There was a chart in this article that was really cool, that a Galapagos tortoise could live over 180 years. I think the one of the oldest humans on record was 122. Chimps can live about 50 to 60 years. As we know, horses can live 40 to 50 years. I mean, this is not normal, but these are some of the oldest. You look at your little house mouse, and you're looking at 2-3 years. But the bat and the naked mole, those were exceptions as far as size. Guinea pigs. Now, guinea pigs is an interesting one because I would usually tell people if you're going to get a guinea pig, yeah, you might get 7-8 years, occasionally 10, but there have been guinea pigs on record that have made it almost to 18 years. That's also pretty amazing. So, as you're looking at your pets and your dogs and your cats, don't. And I tell people this all the time. They go, "How long is my dog going to live?" Come on, doc. I have a small breed. I heard that they can live to 20, and I always caution them, my clients. I say, "No, yes, they can. There have been those that have lived to 20, but I would never tell anybody, oh, you want to get a Yorkie or get a little poodle or get a Papillon or any of those little teeny dogs because they're going to live to 20. Heck no." No, they still have that. I mean, yes, they're going to live longer than our dogs will. The big dogs, they're going to, but they're not going to. I would never get one thinking telling somebody it's going to make it to 20. So, if you have to look at what is possible versus what is realistic, and the realistic things are a little bit different. So. Anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. If you have anything you want to talk about, learn more about, for open discussion, go ahead and send me an email to Dr. Jeff, drjeff at petliferadio.com. We'll do some homework on it. Maybe if you would like, we can have you as a guest on our show. And let's talk about a thing. And I would like to always hear about your pets. I had a radio show in LA. It was a live call-in show on KBC. And people loved to call in and ask questions about their pets. They were getting free veterinary advice. Something was going on with their pets. They wanted to know, first of all, they wanted to learn a little bit more about it in terms that they can possibly understand. And they also wanted some advice sometimes, like, okay, doc, where do we go from here? We have, this and this and this is going on. And our doctor is telling us this. We have some choices. What should we do? And I love answering those questions. So, really, don't be bashful. You can 877-385-8882 every Sunday morning. Write your questions down. And now with Google Hangout, we can actually talk to each other with live. I can see who you are. You can bring your pet in front of your computer and that little camera, and I can have a chance to see your pet as well. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I want to thank our sponsors, Prosense Pet Products and Kong, for being there for us. And I want everybody to have a wonderful week. We'll be here next Sunday. And for those of you who celebrate, have a wonderful first night of Hanukkah. And once again, if you have any questions, please send them my way. Thanks for joining me. I'm Dr. Jeff Werber. We'll see you next week.